My name is Jerome Ferry. My cameraman is Alan Eggers. We're doing a video interview with Alberta Cray and Alice Brown, lifelong residents of Linn County. Whoever wants to speak first, tell us when you're twins and when and where were you born? What year?
On a farm east of Marion, 1922.
What was your folks' name?
Harry and Elsie Hammond.
They were farmers. And did you have any brothers and sisters?
You're going to have to speak louder if you want us to hear.
Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes. There was Lucille, Laverna, Evelyn, Elwood, Norman, and then us.
And where did you girls fall within that lineup?
Tail end.
Tail end. You were the youngest of the family?
Yeah.
Were you
Dirty trick to play on a mother when she's 40 years old.
yes,
They get double trouble.
Did your brothers and sisters, did they look out for you? Or did they pick on you? Or
Well, there's too much age difference.
you were the babies of the family, so.
See, I just realized the other day, Lucille, our oldest sister, was getting married when we were 2.5 years old. And then she moved with her husband to Clarence, Iowa. And I said, you know, we never even knew Lucille because she died when her third child was born, and we were only, what do you think, 11, 12, something like that?
I would say 12 or 13, maybe.
Yeah. So we just we really never knew her. Our brothers were, well, Norman was 8 years older, isn't he, than we are. And Elwood was about probably 9 years older. And
So you were never really close.
no.
Where did you go to school, Alice? Country school?
Excelsior.
Country school?
Number 16.
Number 16?
Yeah.
And was it within walking distance, or did your dad have
No,
to take
we
you?
walked most of the time.
What do you mean most of the time?
Well, sometimes we got in a bobsled or something,
Oh.
but not very often.
When I wrote about it the other day, I said there was never any thought that somebody was going to take us to school because it was cold or rainy or whatever.
Dad walked with us sometimes
He did? I
when he
don't
felt
remember
like
that.
we wouldn't get there safely.
Did you ever forget what time it was and get interested in stuff down along the road and get to school late? Or
I don't think so.
how about school? Was that grades 1 through 8? Did you ever get I imagine the drinking water had to be hauled to school each day.
Yes.
Yep. Somebody went to the neighboring farm and carried it.
Did you girls ever get the opportunity to carry the water for the water jug?
It seems to me like I helped once or twice, but
I don't remember doing it, but that doesn't mean I didn't.
The schoolhouse, how did they heat it?
It's just a pot-bellied stove.
Wood
I
or
don't
coal?
think it was pot-bellied, was it?
Well, I don't know. What would you call
I think our teacher referred to it as a warm morning heater or something, but I kind of remember it as being square, but I don't know.
I don't.
Did you all put your boots around it in the wintertime and the clothes to dry it out after they were all wet after recess?
I don't remember that we put our boots there. We put our feet up on it to get our feet warm.
Outdoor plumbing, I imagine. You didn't.
You're right. Burr.
Did you have one for the boys and one for the girls both?
Yes.
The teacher never had to worry about you staying in there too long in the wintertime.
No.
Do you remember school programs? Did you have school programs where the teacher would hang sheets across the front of the school?
I had a big old blue curtain that you
Yeah.
pulled across the wire.
Did you put on Christmas plays?
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah. Here I am, but nobody seems glad to see me.
Did the school ever have a program and then have an oyster supper or something like that where all the people in the neighborhood would
had
come?
box suppers. I don't
How would we have fixed oyster supper?
Yeah,
without anything.
wasn't no water around.
Let's talk about your family or your life on the farm in the late 20s and the early 30s. I imagine you can remember your dad having a horse and buggy
Yeah.
before automobiles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you ever remember any special occasions where he may have took you to town or someplace in the horse and buggy that
I can remember going to Aunt Tad and Uncle Wilbur's on a Sunday in the buggy. Billy
That was on Christmas.
Billy
when our
Whiskers
goat
ate my
our
book.
How about a bobsled? Did he have a bobsled on the farm?
Yeah.
35 and 36, we just cut right across the fences. They were under the snowbanks and cut right across and going into church or whatever.
Did your daddy ever heat big rocks and put them in the loose straw in the bobsled and cover you up with?
I
If
remember
anybody,
being covered with a horse blanket, but I don't
if
remember.
there was anybody heated anything, it would have been Mama.
They never heated big rocks to put in the sled
don't-
to keep you
I
warm.
don't recall.
Ice skating in the wintertime. Did you have any place to ice skate, or did you ice skate in the wintertime?
Not really. One year when they bought one pair of ice skates, Alberta used them more than I did, but I didn't care.
Was they the clamp-on kind on your shoes?
No, they laced on. That winter we had a lot of freezing rain, and I skated clear from one end of the farm to the other because everything was covered with ice.
How did your folks heat the stove, heat the house? Did they have a big wood burner, coal burner, oil burner?
Well, we had I'd say the pot-bellied stove again in the dining room, and then Mom had a wood and coal range in the kitchen that we cooked on.
Was Monday's worst day?
Oh,
And in the wintertime, she used to hang the clothes out on the line and they'd freeze stiff.
yeah. Carrying a body that looked like long underwear.
And she would
Stick to the board.
string lines all through the house to hang the stiff clothes on so
Yeah.
they would dry out.
We had enough room behind the kitchen range that they had an indoor clothes rack, and she hung a lot of stuff back there.
On Mondays, the house smelled like a rainforest with all the humidity from
Yeah.
wash
Yeah.
clothes. Butchering. Did your dad butcher hogs
Oh, yes.
in the corn crib? Probably
Cows, yeah.
pull them up
Yeah.
with a pulley and lower them down into a barrel of
Yeah.
hot water.
Mhm.
Did you ever help them as you got older
I think we helped when they got it in the house, and we'd
Yeah. We had to
run
cut it
the
up.
lard press or maybe helping with cutting it up. I'm not sure.
Cut it up and put it in jars so we could cold pack it and stick it in the oven.
Is that the way most of it was preserved, was to cold pack it?
The sausage was
And the
put down in
sausage.
jars.
Oh, boy. That was so good. fried down and then buried in lard to keep it from spoiling. And you weighted it down with some heavy thing and a brick and dig that out of that lard. How come we aren't dead with cholesterol?
How long could you expect that to stay good,
Oh, I don't
covered
know.
with that lard like that?
That was way at the far end of the pantry. And of course, there wasn't any heat out there probably. So
All winter long?
I thought some of it was in the summer kitchen.
Well, I don't ever remember it being in the summer kitchen, but it could have been. Who knows?
Did your
Your
mother
guess
make
as good as mine.
Did your mother make homemade soap out of the renderings, out of the
Yeah.
fat?
Yeah, if we didn't eat all the cracklings.
Did you actually like those cracklings?
Yeah, they were pretty good.
They were good. They were different.
Crunchy.
Explain to somebody who's going to watch this tape but had no idea what a crackling was. Explain what that was.
Well, you heated all this fat.
That was
Did they
trimmed
do it
off.
in a skillet? Do you remember, or how did they do that?
I suppose it was done in skillets. And
Then it was poured into the lard press, and you cranked it down, and over here you had a I don't know whether it was a big jar or not that we caught the lard in. Do you remember?
I think it was a crock jar. I don't remember
Yeah.
the size of it.
But as you cranked it down, there was a little funnel here that funneled the hot lard into that jar. And when you got it cranked clear down, and all you had left was that cracklings or the
Yeah.
fryings from the...
It was just about as thick as a waffle. Not a Belgian waffle, just a regular waffle.
It was pretty thin, but it was good.
Was
we were
this
not picky eaters. We'd eat anything in sight almost.
talking about that? You probably had tongue
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
and the tails of
yes.
the pigs.
Oxtail soup.
Oxtail
Oh, boy.
soup. Mhm.
Yeah.
That was good.
Did you ever remember your dad putting the tail in the oven and just plain roasting it? And
Why do you keep asking Dad all the time? Dad's out there milking the cows and cleaning the horse barn. And
I don't remember them ever doing that anyway.
no, I don't either.
uh,
But he keeps suggesting Dad doing all these things that Mama did.
in the wintertime, you had a pump out at the windmill, I suppose.
And windmill was over here and the water pump that we had to pump.
I don't think they used the windmill in the winter for water in the house.
Mm-mm.
Did
I
you-
don't think we did in the summer either.
No, I don't think so. It just went to fill the tank for the animals.
Did you remember how how the pump handle used to get all covered with frost? Did you ever
Yeah.
have the misfortune to try putting your tongue on it?
That was a misfortune. That was stupidity.
I was just wondering.
Doesn't everybody have to try it?
I am sure your mother tried to dress you alike.
Oh, yes.
Did she, and the clothes were made? She probably didn't buy them in the store. She probably made your own outfits.
Feed sex.
Yeah.
When Dad was going after feed for the livestock, he was always instructed to get several bags alike, so there'd be enough for our dresses alike.
Or certain patterns. Or
Yeah.
if she got halfway through a dress, she would have to have another sack of that same pattern so she could finish
Yeah.
it. In the summertime, did you girls go barefooted on the farm?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
The spring of the year, when the shoes come off and the school was out.
Well, I always have thought that a lot of the reason we did that was because it was depression, and I don't think they could have afforded to buy shoes for us anyway.
And you children probably, as children, you probably weren't aware that there was a depression or there wasn't such a thing.
No.
You thought everybody was as poor as
Yeah.
you were, and you weren't
Yeah.
really poor.
We didn't know we weren't rich.
Yes, that is. But let's back up to the winter of 35 and 36. You mentioned the fact of riding, or your dad driving a team in the sled right over the fence rows.
Yeah.
Can you remember any other memories from that severe winter?
No,
Except the Saturday that we tried to make up to school and had a worse storm that day than they had had the rest of the time. And a teacher let school out shortly after lunch, and we started walking home. And didn't get clear to our closest neighbor till our teacher was hollering for help, and she was some distance behind us, and we went back to help her, and then we did get on to the first neighbors. But by that time, part of our legs were frozen, my nose was frozen, and she called our dad, and he came in and walked home with us and had me keep holding ice on my nose.
did we come with the bobsled? Or?
No, I think he came on foot. I'm not sure. I don't remember
I
bobsled.
guess I thought he came with the bobsled.
Was your teacher having a hard time of it that she called you?
Well, I think so. She, to me at that time, she seemed like a heavier person. She probably wasn't, but seemed that way.
Well, she's still a lot heavier built than we are,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
far
bigger
as that
boned
goes.
and all.
You probably saved her life.
But we all three had frostbitten legs, and we had to sit with our legs up for about a week, I guess.
There were two boys that were walking with the group, but they had gone on ahead of Alberta and I. And I don't remember if they stopped at Jordan's or not, or if they went on.
I don't remember them stopping
didn't.
at Jordan's. I don't even remember them walking with us. I just
Oh.
remember what a struggle we were having.
We didn't have any jeans or anything. We had just long
Cotton stockings.
stockings and long underwear, but the snow was so deep that we would set one leg down and it would go clear in, and you'd have to bring the other up and over and down.
Yeah.
And it was very tiring. I know I was exhausted.
Our parents would have, you just did not wear pants. Women did not wear pants. That's just not done. After this event, though, they did allow we could wear pants to school, but you get those off as soon as you get to school.
Yeah, Dad went to town, bought us each a pair of bib overalls.
I can't think that that old rolled up black stockings over top of that long underwear looked any better than those jeans.
Women just didn't wear that kind of pants, that's all.
No.
Did you, as you girls were growing up, were you close to each other? Were one
I suppose
was one
to a
the outdoor
certain
type
extent.
and the other one was inside, or
I think maybe that's true, but we were probably close because that was all we had.
Yeah.
There
Do you-
wasn't close neighbors like if you live in town. Or,
do either one of you ever remember having to go get the milk cows for your dad and out in the pasture?
yeah,
We did a lot of times, not because we had to, it was something to do.
yeah.
You didn't mind doing it.
No.
Did you ever find yourself walking in fresh cow pies and
Probably did one time
squishing
or another.
between your toes?
Probably, but I don't remember that either. We always had a good dog that would go ahead of us and kind of round them up, you know.
Did you ever had the opportunity to milk cows?
We tried.
Yeah, we tried. Somehow that was never our.
I can remember Dad coming home from helping thrash, and he said, "You girls get out of here, you'll make the cows go dry."
Was that because you would scare them?
I don't know.
I think because we didn't have strength enough in our hands to pull hard enough to really get.
He didn't like girls out around the animals.
Oh, he
no.
did.
Oh no.
I
no.
think he was afraid we'd learn something.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned whatever we knew after we got married, I think.
As far as your sex education was concerned.
Yeah. Women just don't belong out around.
But the farm girls had an advantage over the city girls because they were way ahead of them.
I don't know.
Well, maybe not. Thrashing time. Do you remember thrashing ring coming to the farm?
Oh,
Yes, yes.
We'd sleep on a blanket out in the front yard, so we'd be there to enjoy the first wagons when they came
Yeah.
to the farm.
That was a big event.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was something different.
A lot of wagons and a lot of
Yeah.
horses. And
Yeah.
did they have a steam engine on the thrashing machine?
Yeah.
Was this somebody in the neighborhood?
I don't remember where he came from. Do you? There was a big thrashing ring,
Yeah.
and of course everybody helped everybody else.
I don't, I think he apparently lived somewhere in the vicinity, but I'm not positive.
Did you help your mother fix the large meals for
Yeah.
the thrashing crew at dinner time?
Yeah, set up the wash bench out there so the guys could, and a roller towel so they could wash up before they came in. And after dinner was over, we got, what kind of branches did we get?
I think
Must
we
have
got
been
'em
willow branches.
Got him from the willow trees. And
Pulled all the shades at the far end of the house and chased the flies with the willow branches, and as you went, you pulled more shades, and the flies would go to the light. We'd get rid of some of them.
Can you remember the large meals?
No,
The farm ladies.
it was just a large meal. I don't remember.
Farm ladies tried to outdo each other as far as.
I think some of them did from, talk we heard, but we didn't realize it because we didn't eat at the neighbors. We only ate at our place.
How about haying time? Did you get involved with helping put hay in the barn?
Yeah. Did you lead the horse ever? I
Well,
remember
yeah,
I
we
did a lot.
both did one time and another. it just was, again, something to do. And then, of course, one of
Did
us
we have a
usually,
choice? I didn't know
one
we
of
had a
us
choice in
usually
that.
was on the hay rack when they were forking the hay up onto the hay rack.
Yeah, well, I drove the horses a few times out in the field.
Well,
I remember if I had to
that too.
climb up and up, I was scared I was gonna go over the ladder and down under the horses.
I
feet.
remember when I had had this surgery on my hand, Dad would keep saying, hold him down, hold him down. I couldn't squeeze that hand, it hurt so bad.
You were talking about leading the horse. This was the horse that the rope was attached to that pulled the hay up
Yes.
into the
Yeah.
barn.
Yeah,
That's when the dust squeezed up between your toes. Boy, after that rope had been drug over that thing so long, the dust was 2 inches thick probably.
And as fine as flour.
Yeah,
yeah.
Did you ever get yelled at that you went too far or didn't go far enough?
No, I don't
I just
think
remember
so.
somebody hollering, whoa, and we whoa.
Yeah.
You never had the opportunity to go up in the hay mow and to mow the hay.
No,
We didn't do it in
we
Maui.
went up the hay mow one time and another, but not to do anything but play.
Speaking of the hay mows, did you ever play in the hay mow on a rainy day?
I doubt it.
I don't know if it was rainy or not.
I don't remember.
How about green apples? When the green apples would come on the trees, did you eat green apples and barn salt?
I don't remember that we did.
No,
We
the Whitneys were almost always ready to,
Yeah, they were
my
ready.
mama wanted them for apple pickles besides, so we
Yeah.
didn't dare waste those.
As you got a little bit older, were you assigned farm chores that you were responsible for getting done, or?
No, I don't think so. About the only thing we expected, I guess, was to carry in wood and cobs and stuff for the kitchen range.
Well,
Most things we just did to have something to do.
I don't remember it that day.
Oh,
I remember shelling the corn for
well, I remember shelling corn, but
and putting corn in the feed boxes for the horses and
I remember
leading the horses to the tank for a drink.
I remember putting ears of corn in their bins when they were gone threshing, so it would be there when they got home.
And
But I don't think anybody told us we had to. I just thought it was something to do.
I guess I just thought everybody on the farm worked and
Yeah.
this was our job. But
Now, you would have had older brothers that were helping your dad
Yeah.
doing the
yeah,
farm
they
work.
were
So,
enough older that
when
when they were gone, we had to hire men.
Yeah.
in your younger days, did you have running water on the farm,
No.
electricity?
No.
Do you remember your dad lighting lanterns and taking them out to the barn to milk the cows with?
Oh yeah.
Did he ever have any accidents with the lanterns?
Not I'm aware of.
And imagine you had an outdoor outhouse on the farm
Right.
too,
Mm-hmm.
out by the garden probably with hollyhocks around it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
lilacs,
lilac
I
bushes.
think.
Did you ever have any scary experiences in the night if you had to go out to the outhouse after it was dark?
I don't think so.
Highway 13. You lived just off of Highway 13.
Yeah,
What
about
was
a
known?
mile, not
What was
quite.
known as Highway 13? Was Highway 13 paved at that time? It probably was.
Not when we were first growing up. When the year they were paving it, which I don't remember what year it was. I remember we fixed lemonade and walked down there and give the guys, and I suppose it was something we just wanted something to do. I don't know.
I can imagine that was a pretty big event to see that road
Oh, yeah.
paved.
Yeah, I was so annoyed with Mr. Is his name Rasdale? What? In the paper, he wanted people to write in about their country school days. And I wrote in telling about how we at noon would rush out of school to watch them build the WMP Tower over there off of Highway 13. And he put it in there that we did this for entertainment. Well, this was a really big deal. There wasn't, it isn't like today where there's something going up on every corner.
We didn't
And
know
or
that
coming
wasn't
down.
entertainment.
Huh?
We didn't know that wasn't entertainment.
Or, no, the way he put it, you'd think we went in the other room to turn on the television. And I don't know that we thought of it as history, but we thought of it as something really special, you know, because it was Depression times and nobody was building anything, or we hadn't seen anybody building anything.
When they paved Highway 13, there probably wasn't too much traffic on it, was that time, was there?
I don't think there was a whole lot.
Did you ever ride bicycles on it or try to roller skate on it?
We roller skated all the way to Marion.
Yeah, there was one hill that was so high we had to take them off and carry them up that hill and then put them back on.
Whatever possessed you to roller skate to Marion?
Something to do, I guess.
If you get two kids together, they're going to think of something to do, aren't they?
Did your parents upset with you doing that, or did they find
I
out?
don't think they ever knew it.
Somebody said, you mean they let you get that far away from home? And I said, I don't suppose they knew we were doing it.
I suppose, how old do you suppose you were at that time?
Well, it hadn't been paved very long,
And,
but I don't remember what year they paved it.
It was, well, had Dad got a car yet? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I don't think they got a car till our brothers were ready to start high school.
Well, and that right up that Elwood did, that first year that they went into Marion, they drove a horse and buggy and had to put the horse at the stable. But the next year, let's see, they were in 8th grade when we started. So, compute, not me. Anyway.
Before we get any further, I'd like to have you hold that picture up. Hold it up pretty straight up and down.
Well, if you want it straight up and down, you better hold it.
Okay.
Lean against the table.
Alice and I are both so shaky that
Right on
it's
the table.
pitiful.
That's good.
This is the wedding picture of your folks.
Yes.
You remember what year that was?
No.
Before our time.
Very good, Alice. And here is another one, holding the two girls, little Alice and little Alberta.
Is that on the porch of your farmhouse? Probably.
Yeah.
What is it?
Is that on the porch of your farmhouse? That
I think so.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it
Go ahead
again
and look at
and see
it.
which one it-
very nice. Was your farm? Was it near where the later years where they held the national corn picking contest?
Probably
Just off
wasn't
of
too
Highway
far, but
13.
I can't remember whose
I don't-
farm that was on.
Don't remember.
I knew once, but I don't remember that name now.
Sundays when you lived on the farm, were you, church or parents church-going people?
Oh, yes.
Was Sunday a special day?
Yes, and when we went home, we were supposed to be quiet.
And did they take you to church every Sunday morning?
Oh,
Yeah.
And did your mother cook a big dinner every Sunday?
No, chicken.
Chicken every Sunday.
How about gypsies? Was there ever any gypsies traveling the country then? Your folks would
It
tell you to
seems
do
like I heard them speak of gypsies, but I don't recall ever seeing any.
I don't either.
There's never a fear of you being kidnapped by gypsies. How about Christmas?
I don't think it would have been fair. I think they would have threatened us with it, probably.
Christmas. Any special memories? Any special Christmases that you can remember? Was your folks fun type? Did they enjoy life, or were they very serious and hardworking people?
I think serious and hardworking. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember of either one of them being a lot of fun.
Was your Christmases fun times? Did you have a tree?
Well, I think there was a tree, but I don't think we ever had much as small children, more than an apple and an orange or something of that
A
sort.
few nuts, maybe.
Uh,
The tree was probably just paper rings that we made or something.
yeah,
decorated.
yeah.
Usually our sisters would come for Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember stringing popcorn or cranberries and decorating the tree with it?
We would have never wasted cranberries. Not true.
We might have had popcorn, but we didn't. I don't remember ever having cranberries.
Speaking of popcorn, did your family ever pop a large bowl of popcorn on Sunday afternoons or
Yeah.
Sunday evenings? Is that a tradition? How about 4th of July? Was that anything special about that day?
If it was a day to make hay, you made hay.
I can remember us going to, I always call it Jordan's Grove. I don't know for sure if that's, but there was a big picnic of some kind. I don't
I
know.
don't remember
A
that.
lot of people there.
I can remember making hay and coming into the pump and pumping water all over ourselves to cool off. And then sometimes the boys had a few fireworks.
You mentioned earlier in the interview about your neighbors, the Jordans.
Yeah,
Was there any connection between them and Jordan's Grove?
no,
No.
Thanksgiving, can you remember? Did your mother cook a large Thanksgiving dinner?
I suppose there was, but I don't
remember.
Nothing that
I
sticks
don't
out in your
have
mind.
any special recollections of it.
Was she a good cook? Do you remember?
Yes. Yes.
We thought so. We guessed that.
How about-
I can remember we had ducks on Thanksgivings.
We
They
did?
were a miserable thing to get picked.
Did you enjoy eating them, or did you think they were good?
Yeah.
Did your mother ever cook goose?
I'm not sure.
Did you ever get to help picking chickens?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I even chopped the head off a time or two.
Yeah.
Dip them in hot
Gather
water?
those wings and feet and lay his head out here and pet him a little bit. Why?
Quack. When you would say you got to go to town, what would you mean by town? Would you mean Marion or Cedar
Yeah,
Rapids
yeah,
or
Marion.
Central City? So
Just Marion.
if you went to town, it was
If we,
Marion.
if we came to Cedar Rapids, we usually were ready early in the morning when the milkman came, and we would ride to Cedar Rapids with him and then go down to one of our older sisters.
Movies, did you ever get to go to movies in Marion when you were a young girl?
Yeah. Wiley's that lived up the hill from us.
I don't know how old we were then.
They had, what'd they call them?
Matinees?
My
Bank
my
nights?
my brain is that stiff.
Bank night or?
Oh yeah, they had bank night,
Yeah, well, they had dish giveaways and
fish.
Dish.
saucers.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
They did this in order probably to draw a bigger crowd.
I suppose.
I don't know.
Who knows? But we would ride in sometimes with Wiley's. They always went. That must have been bank night, wasn't it?
Wednesday nights,
Folks.
usually was.
I don't. Mama, I think, would go to a movie once in a while in Cedar Rapids with
I
us.
think
but-
it's a matter of if she had a dime so we could go.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they gave us a dime when we rode in with the milkman to take the bus then back to Marion. And sometimes we spent it for something and walked back to Marion.
Early radio.
And then sometimes we had to walk from Marion on out to the farm 5
Yeah,
miles.
right.
Early radios. Did your folks have a radio?
Yeah.
After a time, it had to be charged with a battery, and the battery ran down, well, then you were without radio till
We
they
had a wind
took it
charger up on the barn.
took
If
it
had
into
enough
town,
wind.
and
But we didn't have a radio. I don't know how old we were. We had a wind-up Victrola. And I can remember when we got that radio and I heard some pretty tune on there. And I said, I want to hear that one again. But you couldn't wind it up and play the same record again. I didn't know that.
Trolleys. Do you recall any trolleys ever getting the chance to ride a trolley?
Streetcar
Streetcars?
from Marion to Cedar Rapids. when I was dating my husband, his father drove the streetcar.
When you were young girls at home, did your dad have an automobile? Do you remember what?
At some point, I don't remember.
Don't remember what kind
Well,
you did.
One of them was an old, I think it was the big old Chrysler. My dad and the boys were milking. I'd go out and sit in the garage and I'd practice all the stops you'd make it and do this and this and this. And when they were milking, I backed it out of the garage, drove it around the section and came back and mowed the gate post off. I must have been the bratty one of us.
Well, I don't know. When I thought I was going to learn to drive, I drove it out and right across the road and into the ditch. I was used to driving a hay rack, and you had to turn shorter with the car. But I didn't know that yet.
Did either of you have a hard time learning how to use the clutch that you end up jerking it?
That
I
was
don't
a pain.
remember.
When you pulled this stunt of yours, did you tell anybody about it, or?
Well, they could see the fence posters off. There was no doubt that somebody had done something. I don't remember getting the heck for it, but I suppose I did. I don't know.
Back then, I imagine most of the roads in the spring of the year were very bad.
Oh,
Mud.
mud, deep, deep mud. Probably went up as high as our high buckle, 4-buckle overshoes.
If it didn't, we'd have seen to it that it did.
Probably.
Where did you girls go to high school,
Marion.
Marion? Did you enjoy high school?
I think so.
Did either one of you have any interest in sports? Did you get to partake in any sports?
No.
Oh, I used to stay for Girls Athletic Association. I guess we just played baseball or something. Then I had to walk home because there was no. So you didn't do a lot of after school stuff because it was, you either went when the car was going or you didn't go. And we rode the first year or two or what?
Year or two, I'm not sure.
We rode with the Drake girls that lived down closer to Highway 13. And so you went when the car went, or you walked.
Did you get to go to any school dances,
I
parties?
can remember Dad taking us one year, and I think we were there about an hour before he came and got us.
Yeah, he did not believe in dancing. He didn't believe in swimming. Girls out there naked. I don't know what he'd think if he'd see what they don't wear now.
Oh, and I'm sure neither one of you had an automobile when you were in high school.
No,
Of your own.
definitely not.
Being twins, did you ever embarrass anybody where they would mistake you or think you were the other?
I don't know, they might have been embarrassed, but we weren't.
No,
Or did
we
you ever-
always had a good chuckle over it.
That's what I mean. Was there any occasions where you actually could fool somebody and?
Like a date or something?
We even fooled our husbands before they were our husbands.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she liked to go roller skating, and when the roller skating rink was up at the Shrine Temple, and she had shoe skates. I keep wondering, how did we afford those shoe skates?
I think the ones that I had were some that Shirley had,
Oh,
and how I came by them, I don't remember.
anyway, I went up there one night. I wasn't as crazy about skating as she was, and he said, "Where's your shoe skates?" And I said, "I don't have any shoe skates." "Oh, yes, you do. Where's your skates?" We argued about it for a while, and I guess finally he was convinced that I wasn't her, but anyway.
You mentioned the shrine, the old shrine temple. How did you get there? Streetcar from Marion, or?
I don't remember, do you?
Would
whether we got a ride with somebody who was going or.
I think sometimes I took Dad's car and went. I don't remember whether I had permission or not. But
Yeah, there were times. And I wondered why I thought it was terrible when David sometimes went clear to West Branch for his date. Oh my.
I can remember us taking the car once to go roller skating at, what's that little town that's south of Cedar Rapids?
Shueyville,
No.
Swisher,
There was a skating rink there.
Where
Drayport.
that set of good-looking twin boys lived, Norway.
Yeah, that's Norway. That's where the skating rink was. Yeah. I don't remember the boys.
I do. They were cute.
Did you date in high school, Alberta,
Yeah.
other than your future husband?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How about you, Alice? Did
Yeah.
you? In Pearl Harbor, when that happened, would you have been still in high school?
No.
No.
You graduated in
40.
1940. And did you think, when you think back now, did you both get good grades, pretty good grades in high school?
Not in geometry.
No. Yesterday, I go to the Whitwer creative writing class, and yesterday I had written about some of our experiences as twins, and somebody said, "You didn't tell anything about fooling any of your teachers." And I said, "Well, that's another story." And I said, "Alice and I have always thought our algebra/geometry teacher passed us just to get rid of us."
I think so.
This is your graduation picture.
Prom picture. Not
Prom
exactly
picture.
our graduation.
Yeah. Did have proms then when?
I guess it was prom. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Held at the Roosevelt Hotel.
Remember, as juniors, do you remember putting on the prom for the senior class?
No, we weren't ever involved in that. It was a rude awakening when you went to town and you mostly had cotton feed sack clothes, and here were the girls with wool-pleated skirts and stuff. You weren't part of it.
And then in your senior year, did you go to the prom? Did you have a date, either one of you?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Did you ever feel embarrassed being from the farm and a country girl, and then?
I don't think as much embarrassed as she said, just not a part of it. You felt like you were on a different level.
There were some other farm girls there, Corda Harris and Shirley Carver, and
Yeah,
some of them, but
and I don't know how
they
they
lived
felt.
in a different quadrant of the county, and we just never really got to know. Some of the girls were active in 4-H, and I think we went, once or twice, and I think Dad felt it took too much time to get us there. And so I don't remember. That would have been maybe 2 or 3 miles or more from our house where
Yeah.
we met. So we didn't have much association with anybody in high school.
How many children do you suppose were in the class that you were in?
In high school?
Yeah, was it a large class?
There's 70-some in the whole class.
Yeah, and we came from being 2 in a class. That's a rude awakening.
Before-
Well, of course, in high school they were divided down to where I suppose there was maybe like 25 or 30 people to
Oh, yeah.
each class, but there were 70-some in our grade.
I would like to show this picture of your folks. You said this was their anniversary,
50th anniversary.
50th anniversary. At this time, what I'd like to do, because you both have, from here on out, you both have separate lives, I am going to concentrate on Alberta's
Yeah.
for the rest of the tape and pick you up later,
Yeah.
Alice.
I'll go back down and do whatever it was I was doing.
You graduated from high school in 1940. Did you have any idea in what you wanted to do? What you wanted to do with your life?
No,
at that
I
time?
didn't have any idea. The folks had us take a secretarial course. That's what they thought we should do. And we didn't really have any, I don't know whether we didn't push or whether we just didn't have a thought what we wanted to do.
So did you take a secretarial course?
Yeah, never used it.
Was this in high school or afterwards?
High school.
High school.
No, we didn't have any training afterwards.
So what was your first job, gainful employment then?
Housekeeping for a lady who had heart trouble and couldn't do her laundry and vacuuming and so forth.
What did she pay you then?
$4 for 6 days.
And then did you ever get a job in town or in the city?
I think after she had passed away, I think my first job was, and I can't remember whether it was called Richardson's Pharmacy then or Claxton's Pharmacy on the corner of 13th and 1st, kitty corner from Cove. And I was a waitress there.
In the pre-interview, you'd mentioned you was a waitress at the Mays drugstore.
Yeah, Mr. Jatras, who was managing the tea room at Mays, came out there to whether that was Richardson's or Claxton's, and he said to me one night, "Why don't you come down to my place and work?" So then I did. I don't know that was, well, I don't know whether it was because my husband-to-be was fry cook there at the time or not, but anyway, I went down there to work.
Then did you have any other job at Mays other than
Well,
being a waitress?
after we were married, Mays Film Developing Plant, I worked there. That was probably my best or most favorite job that I had. I don't know whether that was just because it was different or that was at the time of World War II, and lots and lots of interesting photos came back, sent back by the boys or brought back by the boys.
Was that quite a large of operation, that photo department at Mays?
Gee, I don't know what I would compare it with. I mean, Mr. Paxton unrolled the rolls and hung them to go through all the various dips, and Barbara, what was it? Barbara Raisley. I can't think of her husband's last name now. She's passed away. We were both about the same age. Engeldow was her married name. And John, he worked for the light company too. And but when he would get the rolls developed, then they were cut and came into us, and we each had a little printer. And you'd try to guess, is this thin, is this dark, what is this? And give it so much time, just guesstimate. Nothing was automatic, excepting the long row of tanks out here that you'd put it in the stop bath, and then it would automatically go to the next bath and the next bath. And finally, we'd put them on the roller to dry.
Did you find time, or did you ever look at any of the photographs? And did you ever recognize anybody in any of the photographs?
I don't remember that.
About-
Probably, but who knows?
Pearl Harbor, you remember where you were and what you were doing when?
I was working at Mays as a waitress on a split shift. It was on a Sunday, and one of my friends and I went to my sleeping room and during the split shift, and we heard that on the radio. And when we went back, everybody, of course, was talking about it.
Did they have an extra newspaper? Do you recall?
Oh, I'm sure they did,
Yeah.
but I don't remember.
You don't recall boys out on the street
No.
calling extra?
Our sleeping room was north and east from Mays, and if the boys had been out, they'd have been down towards the Gazette, I suppose.
Did you ever have any of your brothers have to go to,
Yeah, my oldest brother,
did he come back?
yeah. Not himself, but he came back. He was in one of those long marches that took quite a toll on us.
Wasn't the Bataan Death March, was it?
I can't tell you which, I just know he was in one of those long marches, and he was in the hospital for a long time when he came back.
So, did you meet a boyfriend yet? Yes, at May's
Oh,
Drugstore.
yes, we were engaged when I was a senior in high school.
Oh, okay, okay. Did he go to the same high school as you did?
No, he was from Cedar Rapids. And he had to quit working, or quit going to school and go to work to
Okay.
help support the family. So he never finished.
And what was his name?
Burton, Bud,
And what year did you get married?
42.
1942. Did he get caught up in the military or in the World War II?
He was drafted, but when he went to Des Moines, they sent him back home.
And then, did he stay with May's Drugs, or did he get a different job?
No. Let's see. He worked at Wilson's for a little while in the cafeteria. And I can't remember whether it was from there. Well, it had to have been from there that he went to work for the light company. And he was with the light company for 39 years.
That was the Iowa Electric Light.
Mm-hmm.
And what was his job? Was he a lineman or a
Transformer repairman.
transformer repair, which was not an easy job?
No.
Could you afford a car then? Did you have your own automobile?
I think David was probably 6 or 7 years old by the time we got a car.
Mm-hmm.
We just, everywhere we went, we walked. If it was wintertime, we had a box on a sled and we put him in there. And summertime, he rode in the wagon when he was little, before he could walk.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could take the bus.
This is a wedding picture of
Yeah.
you and Burton in 1942. Lovely picture. Did you find yourself, then when your first child was born, did you find yourself working outside of the home, or was you a full-time mom?
I was full-time mom.
Yeah.
My husband said a woman's place is in the home and I want you there.
And you said, okay.
Well, I
Or-
guess that's the way it had always been with my mother and most women. And so I guess I just accepted that for a long time at least. Now, then I got so I resented it, but
Do you wish now, thinking back, if you had your life to live over again, would you have done anything different? Would you have tried to gone on to college, or?
I doubt that I would have.
You didn't
I
have
would
any.
hope I would have done some things different, but
You didn't have any aspirations as doing anything spectacular.
oh no, I suppose like most kids we talked about being a teacher or a nurse or something, but I don't know that we had any real serious thoughts about it.
And did you and Bud, when you got married and when you were young like that, did you do a lot of fun things? Did you go to dances and?
Oh, mostly roller skating. I guess we went to a few dances, but roller skating, or we both had ice skates and we'd go down to the slough and skate on the slough. They didn't have ice skating rinks then or warming houses.
If you went to a dance, where would you go?
Danceland.
Danceland. You remember any of the big name bands or later years big name bands?
No, that's never been important to me. It's like somebody will say, well, who played in that movie? Well, if it was Bing Crosby or Bob Hope, I probably remember, but otherwise. I don't know,
And how many children did you end up having?
just 2 boys.
2 boys? I'd like to show this picture of them. That they would have been how old at this?
I think that's the picture that was taken at the time of my folks' 50th wedding anniversary, which David was born in 46 and Gary in 49. So I would have to guess, but that was probably in 53.
Looks like about 3 years and 1 year older. So after the children were grown up, what are they doing today?
I always want to say that David's a bricklayer, but he scolds me soundly when I say that. He actually does rock work, fireplaces, and works on some big buildings, doing cutting the rock and fitting and all that kind of stuff.
And the other one?
He's a machine shop worker, so
Around here,
Colorado Springs.
Colorado? So you don't get to see him all that much
No.
anymore.
I haven't seen the older one for a year. He's so disgusted with that kid. He had such a mind of his own when he's home. Now his wife rules everything, or ruins it, whichever the word is.
What year did did Burton pass away then?
97.
So after the boys grew up and moved away from home and Burton passed away, you had a very interesting hobby in rock and gems,
Yeah,
didn't
but
you?
we were into rocks before the boys moved.
Was Burton into
Oh,
that
yeah.
hobby too?
Yeah. We got started in that probably in 64 or 65. And Gary went to Vietnam and was back. And David was in the Navy and was back. And David, I offered several times to help him pack, but he stayed an awful long time. He must have been his father's child.
Did you find yourself going to a lot of rock shows?
Oh, yeah.
Is there a chapter around here?
Oh, yeah. Cedar Valley Rocks and Mineral Society.
And you're still very involved in...
Yes, I have finally bowed out of being the editor. I think I was the editor of the Bulletin for 20-some years. And just last night, it got turned over to somebody else. That was my baby, really. I originated the darn thing way back in 65 or so.
Why does a person have such a interest in rocks? What is it about it?
I don't know, it's a disease. Don't you think? I don't know. They're interesting, they're beautiful, they're just interesting.
So many different types and
Oh, yeah.
from so many different parts of the world and country.
Lots of nice people.
And then when you took up another hobby later in life?
Yeah, probably another one and another one, I don't know.
The History Center.
Yeah.
What was it called then? Linn County or?
Yeah, Linn County Historical Museum Association, I think. We had a funny name for quite a while because, what was the man's name? He had the rights to the Linn County Historical Society. And while they weren't active, he wouldn't release the name for a long time. And finally did, so then we became the Linn County Historical Society.
What year did you get first involved with it?
Oh, golly, I don't have any idea when or why or how, but this man.
You had told me in the pre-interview of 1969 that when you first become interested in it?
Did I tell you why?
No, you did not.
I don't. I'm just somehow at this minute I can think of a number of the things that I was involved in when Tower Grove was. I went down there and helped paint and clean and scrub, and we had a lot of open houses down there. John moved into the basement for a month, and or maybe it was all summer, I don't know. And we had those open houses down there. I think that was one of the first big projects that I can remember getting in. Well, still, there was still a bat shelter way back when. And a bunch of us got involved, and we had a big tent out at Iowa Fair here, Hawkeye Downs, and I can remember Stella. She was a pusher at that time. She was a good old gal. Too bad she's gone. And what year that was, I've got to beat a bush up there at Methwick. I know that guy's got our secretary books from way back then. I just know he's got them. See, we had that little annex down there. There was Kuba's Annex. That was probably our first meeting place other than someone's home, I think. I don't, mine's foggy. But anyway, a lot of stuff was kept there, stayed there. And those secretary books came up missing from there. And this guy, I just know he's got them.
How many of you were originally involved in the first?
Heavens, I don't know.
Just a small number or a large number of people?
A small number.
Did you pay any dues or?
Oh, I think so, but they probably were like $1 a person or something.
And was that the only income you had as far as the association was?
Oh, I guess probably it was. I don't know. I can't think of anything that we did. Vern Connect was a high school teacher, and he thought we could make money. He'd go to auctions and buy something which was supposedly cheap, and then we'd have a sale down at there at Kuba's building and sell it. And whether we ever made anything on it, I have no idea.
So where did all the artifacts start coming from? Was it from the different members brought in different things?
Yeah.
At first?
Yeah. And a lot of those things were lost by virtue of the fact that we didn't have a place to put them. And, I can store that I'll store that. Later, when we had a building and those people said, bring it in now. Well, either the person that had been a member had passed away and the other spouse didn't know anything about it, or I don't know.
They just chose not to bring it back.
They just chose not to bring it back.
And then you were active when they were on 8th Avenue?
Oh, yeah.
When it became quite a bit larger.
I was secretary at that time.
Mm-hmm. How long were you secretary then?
I haven't any idea.
And then, finally, the new building on First Avenue. Did you ever think you'd see the day that
No.
it would grow so much?
No, because we were such small potatoes and we just kind of floated along. Everybody was doing everything they could when we can't remember what happened, but I remember Laura Jerwas came into the picture at some time, and I can't remember who else that had some brains and some money, and they felt we should close the door, and we refused to close the door. We were going to keep it open no matter what we had to do. And so, I don't know, we had, on 4th of July, when they'd race from IE down to the Gazette race or whatever it was down there, we we'd be down there at 7 o'clock with rolls and coffee and hot dogs and hamburgers and whatever, and sell all day long, cakes and cookies and whatever,
Trying to raise money.
trying to keep it oil. And Ed Kuba would always come to our rescue. The bill was just delivered. They're turning off the lights today, and Ed would always come up, would pay water, gas, lights, whatever. Nobody really appreciated all that he did. He was a difficult man, but most of us have a difficult streak. So
What was your favorite things to do as far as the History Center? What did you like doing the best?
I don't know.
Collecting artifacts from...
Well, that probably would be my favorite now, but I should.
Nothing in particular. Were you interested in history in school?
No, not at all.
Why do you suppose you become interested in local history to the extent you did?
I have no idea. No idea at all. Just one of those things that happened.
Do you
Can't even think why I got started.
do you think the younger generation will see the same interest in history, in local history, as we do nowadays?
That's debatable, I guess. I mean, maybe they'll be like me. We change as we get older, and we have different interests. And so hopefully they will, but a lot of them haven't been raised up to respect anything or value anything, and so maybe they never will. I don't know.
Now, Alberta, unless you have anything else to add, the
No, I think that's enough.
Linn County Historical Society would, and Alan and I would like to thank you very much for sharing your memories with us.
Okay.
I assume, Alice, since you were twins, that you probably graduated from high school the same year?
Yes.
1940?
Yes.
When you were going to high school, did you have any idea what you wanted to do with your life?
Well, no, I hadn't given it a whole lot of thought because there weren't the opportunities then that there are now.
Girls didn't think about a career back then.
I guess some of them did because they became nurses or teachers, but I guess I just thought probably I'd get married and that'd be that.
Was college an option at that time?
No, there wasn't money for anything like that, and Dad says you'd never finish anyway.
Why did he say that?
Well, I guess he just felt like we just wouldn't continue it. He didn't. Apparently he didn't think we took that much interest in school. I don't know.
Back then, the folks didn't feel that their daughters were probably going to go on to be great in any way. That
I know he had suggested we take piano lessons, and we didn't want to take piano lessons. We wanted to take a guitar or something, and he said, "No, if you don't want to take piano lessons, that's it."
And when you graduated from high school, were you still living at home?
Yes.
And how did you get back and forth to school when you were in high school years?
We drove. We didn't drive the first year. We rode with neighbors that had girls in high school. Then their girls graduated, so then Dad got us learner permits, and we learned as we went.
I want to back up a bit. You had a picture here of you and your sister when you were little girls, and I think it's kind of a neat picture, and I'd like to have you hold it up. How old do you suppose you'd been when that was taken? Do you have any idea?
I don't know, maybe 3 or some such matter. I don't know.
I can't tell which is which, but you had told me that the little girl on the right is you.
Yeah.
Very nice. So when did you move away from home?
Well, I don't know if you'd call it, well, I suppose it was moving away to a certain extent. I took a job in town during the summer of 40, doing housework and attending a couple of younger children.
That was your first job?
Yeah. Long hours, and very little pay.
Was it room and board type of
Yes,
job?
yes. I had a room up on the third floor that was my space, and then I had 2 children, and the lady took in boarders, so I had 10 sheets on the line every week, and I got the meals and cleaned up after them, and
How much did she pay you?
$7 a week.
And you had a room up on the third floor, and this was in the summertime?
Yes.
Did it get kind of warm up there?
Very.
Did you, I know you did have air conditioning up there. Did you have fans back then?
I don't remember if there was a fan or not. I know I had an alarm clock, and I had never, ever used an alarm clock. I put that thing in a tin pan, and I tried laying stuff on top of it, fall off and wake me up. I had a terrible time getting used to that.
Did you say you had to babysit their children too?
Well, they weren't actually babies, but they were young enough that they needed someone to be with them during the day.
Guidance.
The older boy was old enough that they allowed him to go to the river to fish, and he often brought home a lot of bullheads, which, thank heavens, he cleaned, but I cooked.
Did you do a lot of the cooking too for the?
Yeah, I don't really remember a lot about the cooking, but I did get their meals for them and cleaned up afterwards.
And how long did you do this type of work?
I just worked there during the summer. In the fall of that year, Dad and Mama were driving out to California to see relatives and friends that they had known for some time, and Alberta and I both went with them. And then when I came back, I got married immediately. And not because I had to, just was determined that's when I was going to get married, was on my 18th birthday.
Your sister got married at a young age too, didn't she?
Yeah, but she was, I forget whether it was 1 or 2 years.
I think she said she was 16 when she got married. Was that the age girls could expect to be married? 18 back
I
then.
don't know. I didn't pay attention to what other girls did. Did what I wanted to do.
Back when you were a senior in high school and after you got out of high school, did you party then?
No, not a whole lot.
Go to dances and drink and smoke?
I
And
never was into dancing, especially.
did you or any of your girlfriends smoke? Or
Some of them did. Offhand, I don't remember who or how many, but I don't. Certainly, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now.
Did you have boyfriends?
Yeah, I usually always had one here or there, sometimes 2. The first one, of course, was a farmhand that worked for the neighbors, and then I met another one somehow. I don't remember exactly. I think I met him. Alberta and I wanted to go to the little fair that was in town. That was at Thomas Park area, and there wasn't money for those things. I don't remember whether Mama gave us 50 cents or just what each. So we walked into Marion to go to the fair, and we got there and found out that we wasn't going to have enough money to do a thing after we got inside. So somewhere along the way, we run into this couple of boys that was going to sneak in, and we snuck in too. And so I got to be quite friendly with one of them, and I don't remember if they walked home with us or not, but we did walk home, and it was, of course, after dark. There was no worry about it at that time. Wouldn't do it now.
Well, there was probably very little traffic too at that time of the night.
And I don't think there was much. Of course, I don't think we stayed late, but 9 o'clock might have been considered late then. I don't know.
Did young people drink back then? Did they drink beer then?
Some did. Some of my boyfriends had liquor with them on occasion, and I tried it. Wasn't fond of it at the time. Well, I went with that fella for a while, and then I met my husband, and I dropped all these other fellas. And
Pearl Harbor. Where were you and what were you doing? You remember? Do you remember when they bombed Pearl Harbor?
Well, I think, let's see, I was already married then, wasn't I?
You were married then.
Because I was married in 40, September the 3rd.
September 3rd, 1940
Yeah,
is when you got married?
yeah.
Okay.
So I think we had a small apartment in Cedar Rapids. I don't remember just where. And I'm not sure. I'm almost sure I was doing housework, but I don't remember. Some of the jobs were more or less, I guess you'd call them temporary, where people were ill or had some problems and they just needed help for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the one lady was rather elderly, and she had emphysema real bad. Her husband was still working, and he just wanted somebody to come in the mornings and clean up and do whatever dishes there were and get lunch for her. And then after she had had her lunch and stuff, then I could go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember that as being a very long position, maybe 3 months or some such matter. I don't remember.
What was your husband's name?
Norman,
Norman. How old was he when you got married?
20.
20. Did he have a job at the time?
Yeah, but most of the jobs he would get were low paying, like $15 a week. And
what type of work would he do?
he was a great hand to change jobs. I don't think his parents had taught him that you work for a living. He worked at painting. He done tree surgery for a while. He worked nights on the railroad for a while, and he was a receiving clerk at Iowa Steel, and
Just did just a little about him, a little of everything.
yeah.
A lot of odd jobs. And did he get caught up in the military?
More or less. He was in the National Guards at the time that we were dating even, and but when they went into service, he couldn't pass the eye test, and so he was not able to go along with the rest of the fellas, and so he just stayed home and continued his changing jobs for some time.
When did you have your first automobile? You and your husband. Did he have an automobile when you got married?
No, we didn't have one. We didn't have one for some years. It would have had to have been maybe in 1946 or along there someplace. I'm not just sure.
Mm-hmm. And when did you have your first child?
She was born in January of 42.
Oh, and lost my train of thought. Then you were a full-time mom. You probably didn't work outside of the house when you started having children.
Well, I didn't for some time. I think in '43, I did some work. My mother kept Geraldine, that was our oldest, kept her quite a bit of the time, and then we had Pat came along in December of '43, and I guess it must have been in '44. I went to work. I worked out at Iowa Steel, chipping weld on the tank trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't recall who looked after the youngest one, but as I say, my mother had the oldest one quite a bit of the time.
That had been a very dirty job, chipping weld.
It was terrible. We tied our heads up with scarves, and even then when you got home you could just comb that grit out of your hair. It was necessary to wash your head every night.
How much did you get paid then?
I don't remember, I haven't any idea. But, and I don't remember why I left there or whether that job terminated or,
Would that have been during the war years?
yeah. But when I left there, then I went to work at Collins. I don't know whether that was, I probably got a record of it at home, possibly in '49, but no, couldn't have been then. I only worked there a few months, and then I was pregnant again.
Was this at main plant?
Yeah, it was at the main plant. And so then that had to have been in early part of '46 that I found out I was pregnant. And so I wasn't feeling a bit well, so I left the job. And then our son was born in October of '46. And after that, you couldn't find a job where you could make enough to pay a babysitter and work too.
Yeah.
You just would have maybe not even broke even. And so then I didn't go back to work until '53, and that was after Donna was born, and she was born in '49. And well, we made a short move. My husband decided to work for the state, and he went as a park custodian. And so we were in Oak Grove State Park for about a year. He hated it. He was a people-loving person, and he enjoyed being with people. Well, we were out in the country 7 miles, and he had me and the kids, and that didn't give him anybody to visit with, and he just hated it. We did get together with a couple of the farmers' families and played cards maybe once a week or something like that, but that was about it.
You had mentioned being a chip welder, or a chip weld for Iowa Steel.
Yeah.
Was Iowa Steel making war equipment then?
Well, they were making tank trailers. I guess I don't know whatever else they were doing.
You have a very nice family picture here of when your family was young. I'd like to have you hold it up. What year do you suppose this picture was taken, Ellis?
I'm thinking about '52.
And the girl to the right of your husband there, that is Geraldine. She would be the oldest.
Yes,
And then the one directly below her would be the next in line, Patricia.
yes.
And then the smallest girl would be Donna.
Mm-hmm.
And their brother would be Steve.
Yes.
Very lovely family. Okay. This is another very cute family picture. I imagine this was in about 1950. Do you remember where this was? Where in Cedar Rapids at that time?
I'd have to look at it to make a guess. I think that was at my folks' house.
On the farm?
No.
Well, that's okay.
I guess I'm not sure. They would still have been on the farm at that time, but
Here is another picture. Before I forget it, I'd just like to show it. This was evidently in the Cedar Rapids Gazette.
yeah.
The two twins, Alberta and Alice. You were 75 years old.
Yeah.
And you're still side by side. Can you see that, Alan?
Yes.
Was there any other twins in your family?
Yes. My oldest sister had twins. I don't have much recollection what year that would have been. Let's see.
Just one other set of twins, too.
No, not really. Then my next to the oldest sister, her son had twins. And I don't think there's been any since then.
None of your children have had twins yet.
No, none of my kids have had any. And since they're all past the childbearing years, apparently it'll have to be the next generation.
And this picture here is you and Norman at your 50th anniversary.
Yes,
What year did Norman pass away?
in 98.
98. How old was he?
Uh,
Approximately.
Let's see. Well,
That's okay. Did he have an illness or natural?
no, he had lots of illnesses.
Did he?
He was on kidney dialysis. He had had 2 open heart surgeries, open surgery on both legs for blockages, cancer, and just about everything he could have.
Oh, excuse me. Still got it?
Mm-hmm.
This picture here is of your children and their children.
That's back,
This
Yeah.
was probably when you celebrated your 40th
I think. probably.
anniversary.
So,
What's your children doing today? Are they living in Cedar Rapids or?
3 of them are. Donna's in Florida. Our oldest daughter, Geraldine, works as the, I can't think what you want to call it. She manages the Linwood Apartments out on the west side. And Pat is working with her as her assistant. Steve worked at Russell Guide for many years, but when that folded, he is still on the looking list right now.
How many grandchildren do you have?
14 or 15, I should count it. I've got,
Great-grandchildren?
yeah, must be somewhere between 10 and 12. I have to count every time I go through the list. No, and then there's 2 great-grandchildren.
Did you have any hobbies, Alice?
Not at a younger age. I didn't have time.
Yeah. But now is
But yeah, as we retired and one thing and another, I got into doing different handcrafts with yarn and plastic canvas and different odds and ends. And now I just enjoy making quilt blocks and trying to quilt, which is difficult with my hands the way they are. but I still enjoy it.
Did you get involved with rocks and minerals like your sister
Yeah,
did?
that
or-
was, that must have been sometime in the 50s, actually. My husband and I got into it before Alberta did, but just before. The one year she was going to go on vacation, and they were going out to California and around, and I was going to look after plants and stuff for her. And when she left, I said, well, bring me back a rock from someplace. And so when she got back, I said, well, would you bring me a rock? And she got a funny look on her face, and she said, you know, the first thing I knew, I was picking up 2 of everything.
And do you belong to the Cedar Valley chapter?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you and your sister stay close after you got married?
No, not really. I think our husbands both had entirely different lives, and we kind of followed them for a long time. Once in a while there'd be something that would get us together. I can remember somewhere along during the course of the children coming that we both lived on the northwest side at that time, and she and I would take wagons, tricycles, whatever was available, and we'd take the kids and some food, and we'd go to Ellis Park, and we'd leave our husbands a note, that's where we were, and they'd show up out there when they got off work.
If you had your life to live over again, Alice, was there anything you wished you would have done different, or is there anything you didn't get to do that you wished you could have?
Well, I guess I would have, now that I know more, I would have definitely waited later to have married. I don't know. I've enjoyed a lot of the things I did. I wouldn't want to give up being a rock hound. I would maybe have wished that I would have learned more about quilting when I was younger, so that I could have enjoyed it more. But on the whole, I guess I'm reasonably happy with the way most everything went. Nothing is what we plan on.
In your later years, did you find yourself doing volunteer work?
Yes, I when I saw the ad for the Tanager Treasures was going to open, I called and found out some about that, and intended to start right when they started. But Norman was quite ill then, and there were too many difficulties for me to handle right at that time. However, I did start just, I think, a matter of weeks later, and they had a young woman that was managing at that time, and she found that it wasn't for her, and so she left, and then Tom took over, and he was a natural-born person for that job. Everybody hated it when he left. And I enjoyed it very much. It sort of worked into, you might say, 2 or 3 volunteer jobs, because as the last lady that took over, she wanted more boutique type things. And so she discarded, I would say, 50% of the stuff that came in, it seemed like. And I kept saying, I know someone can use this. I know someone can use this. I was taking my car home full every week, sometimes twice a week. And I knew different people that were connected with this organization and that organization. And we were distributing to 12 other places by the time that it closed.
Tanager Treasures was a shop that sold used clothing and household items
bric-a-brac
to the people that couldn't afford to buy it new.
Yeah.
Your sister become very interested with the Linn County Historical Society. Did you spend any time at the History Center?
I didn't really take a whole lot of interest in it when she started, and she became more and more involved in it, but I kept saying, that's not for me, that's not for me. And I guess the only reason I came was after Tanager Treasures closed. I felt like, well, you've got to do something. You've got to talk to somebody about Deer Abbey or something. You can't just sit here. And so I thought, well, give it a whirl. But if Tanager Treasures would have stayed open, I never would have, probably. Yeah. I enjoyed that so much. It was like they took my baby away from me when they closed that.
Alice, unless you have anything else you would like to mention, the Linn County Historical Society, the History Center, would like to thank you very much for sharing your memories with us.
Well, I am wondering if you, if when Alberta and I were together discussing this situation, if we said anything about picking the potato bugs and the eggs off of the potato plants, because that was something we were expected to do. And also we...
Did you get paid for it? Did your dad give you?
I don't think there was such a thing as pay.
Did you put them in kerosene?
We put them in paper bags and we carried them back to the house, and then I think they burned the bags. They may have put kerosene on them, I'm not sure. One particular memory of that episode was the one day that we were out picking them off. Our father had taken our next oldest brother to have his tonsils removed. At that time, you didn't stay in the hospital, you came right home. And so when we got back in with our potato bugs, he was laying on this leather couch that was in the dining room. And so we had to dash in and see him, and we set our bags of potato bugs on him and went to the kitchen to get something to eat. And next thing we knew, he was trying to make a noise to let us know that the bugs were coming out of his and then sometime during the winter or early spring, it was definitely our job to take kerosene lantern and go to the basement, well, not basement, cellar, and sprout the potatoes. They'd start getting sprouts all over them, and we'd sit down there in the bin on the floor and take off the sprouts. That was, Alberta said she doesn't understand why I don't think that any of the things we talked about together were actually our jobs, because I felt like a lot of them we just did have something to do. But those two things we were definitely expected to do.
Did your dad cut his own potatoes up for seed potatoes in the spring of the year?
Yeah, and we'd follow along behind him and step on them as he dropped them.
Very good. Thank you very much from the Linn County Historical Society, the Linn County History Center, and from Alan and I for sharing your memories with us. Thank you. Very good.